There was a moment, maybe you remember yours, where everyone in the room was losing their mind. Jerseys on, faces painted, voices breaking, and you were sitting there, drink in hand, genuinely trying to feel what they were feeling, wanting to get it, waiting for the wave to hit, and it just did not. Not because you are cold, not because you are above it, because your brain was looking for something that was not in that room. You have been called boring for this, unrelatable, hard to connect with. And here's the part nobody ever says out loud. You have wondered, quietly, if they were right. If there is something missing in you, something the rest of them have that you somehow skipped. There is not. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly what your brain was actually doing in that room, and why it says something far more interesting about you than any scoreboard ever could. Let me tell you about someone. There was a man in his late 30s, call him Marcus. Thoughtful, measured, the kind of person who remembered your birthday and asked the follow-up question nobody else remembered to ask. He worked in a room full of sports fans. Every Monday was a debrief he had no lines in. Every Friday was a countdown to a weekend he could not participate in. He smiled through it. He tried. He Googled enough to fake it. But he told me once, quietly, almost like a confession, I do not understand why 11 strangers kicking a ball determines whether my colleagues are pleasant to work with on a Monday. He wasn't being superior. He was genuinely confused. And that confusion, it turns out, was a data point. Here's what was actually happening in Marcus's brain, and in yours. Sports fandom is not really about sport. It never was. At its core, it's a tribal identity system. Your brain is wired, at a very deep, very old level, to belong to a group, to have an in-group, a team, a side. Because for most of human history, the group you belonged to determined whether you survived. So, when a team wins, your brain doesn't just register a scoreline. It registers, my tribe is strong. And it releases a chemical reward for that signal. The same rush of belonging, the same surge of status, the same ancient relief of being on the winning side. Sports gave a modern brain the cleanest, most available version of that hit. Now, here's the part that explains you. That tribal wiring doesn't disappear in people who don't care about sports. It relocates. Your brain found its tribe somewhere else, in ideas, in craft, in a community built around something you made or believed or created, in the people who stayed up late talking about the things that actually kept you awake at night. Your need to belong is not smaller than the person losing their mind in the sports bar. It's just pointed at something different. And here's what Marcus eventually understood. The reason the scoreboard never moved him was not that he lacked the capacity for passion. It was that his passion had a different address. But here's where it gets more specific, because there's a cost. And if you've never named it, you've definitely felt it. The social tax of being the person who doesn't follow sport is real. Conversations you cannot enter, rooms where you don't have a key. The quiet sense of being slightly outside the glass in social environments built around something you cannot access. Research consistently shows that shared rituals, including sports, are one of the fastest ways humans built trust and social capital, which means the person who doesn't participate in the dominant ritual of their environment is working harder to build the same level of social connection as someone who just knows the score. That's not a character flaw. That's an invisible overhead. And most people who don't care about sports carry it without ever naming it. Marcus named it on a Tuesday afternoon. He said, I spend so much energy finding other ways into rooms that sport would have opened automatically. And then he said something that stopped me. But the rooms I do get into, I get into all the way. That's the reframe. Think of sports fandom as a universal key. It opens most doors quickly, efficiently, without much effort. It's a social shortcut, And like all shortcuts, it works fastest when you're going somewhere everyone else is going. But the person without the key, they learn every other way into a room. They develop a different kind of social intelligence. They learn to find connection through curiosity, through remembering, through the kind of attention most people never received. The doors they open are fewer, but they tend to open all the way. Which brings us to the thing Marcus carries now. Not a scoreline, not a jersey, but a question he asks every person he meets. What's the thing you'd talk about all night if you found the right person to talk about it with? It opens more doors than any sport ever could, because it's not a ritual, it's an invitation. And the people who don't need a scoreboard to belong, they tend to be the ones who know how to extend that kind of invitation. You are not the person who missed out on something. You're the person whose brain needed a more specific kind of belonging. One that's harder to find, more work to build, and considerably harder to fake. That's not a gap. That's a standard.